A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Evening Review. My name is Toivan Jobela, your host. Tonight on the platform, we host President of the Popular Democratic Movement, that is PDM, that is McHenry Venaani. He is, of course, vying for the presidency of the country in next week's presidential election, and his party is currently the official opposition of the country, and it is in contention for parliament again. Thank you, Mr. Venaani, for making time. I think the natural first question is your reaction to the special voting outcome of last week, where your party, of course, it's a very tiny sample, but your party is trailing there. What happened?
Thank you very much. A very good evening to our viewers and to Namibians. Well, I could only say that it's a bad start. In politics, you have good starts and bad starts. The sampling was not good for us because you have elites and ambassadors voting, their children and families, the children of those that are well-to-do, that are at universities abroad, many of them, and the securocrats, the army, the police, that are ordinarily in many political setups very aligned to ruling parties. But of course, the other parties did quite well, taking a number of votes from the securocrats and also to students. But we had a bad start. It's like, I only view it as the same way that Kamala Harris had at this big debate night, that the whole world thought Kamala Harris would become president. And I was telling people in my party, Honorable Max Kashimun and all these young guys, and I was telling them, you don't know the society of America. It's not the debate that makes a winner. It's the society and how it responds to the needs of citizens. And I was proven correct that Trump had a bad start, but he trailed, and for a whole part of the campaign he was behind Kamala Harris, but today he's the president. So I think to us, the first election, it's a bad start for us, but we are very confident that going forward, the numbers are going to show that we have really worked the country.
Yeah. In the same week, you then held what I thought was an explosive mega rally there in Oshagati. Oshagati, many people would think that it's not a PDM stronghold, or maybe did you guys bus in people? Because that was a big crowd.
Well, the easiest thing to check with this busing is that we have police checkpoints across every region. So I think those that are saying, in fact, I challenged someone who said, no, all those people are from Kavango or from Kunene. I said, give me one single car that brought more than 10, that came in for that rally, and I'll give you 10,000. We never bus people. We just organize on the ground. And one of the things that we did, because we held our Congress very, very late, one of the things that was said, that get the structures in every village correct. And I think it's something that we have really worked well, and we are waiting to really benefit from it, because structurally we are probably one of the best organized parties on the ground, and that has really helped us to really raise that kind of support. And then of course the consistent reputations of young people in the country, that they don't know what the future holds, and the young people really are showing cause that they really want to change. If I go to all the rallies throughout the country, it's not only Oshakati, but everywhere, 90% of our rallies are filled up with young people. And you always think that they are coming there to come and take a t-shirt or something, but people are just saying that we want change. So I think that has really worked in our favor.
Yeah. Similarly, in Okalongo, my area there was, perhaps that is the one that shook me a little bit, because I do not imagine, or I did not imagine anyone actually being a PDM member there. But you had really a good number there.
That is what PDM is all about. we said to ourselves for the last 5 years that don't go to the people when the election comes.
Yeah.
And because of that consistent structural organization, we could penetrate areas that ordinarily would have been strongholds of the ruling party for a very long time. And Okalongo is one of them. I mean, Sophia had quite a mammoth rally at Oshikuku, but she was responding to the support that has been growing. They said descend in Oshikuku, Karongo, and Tsandi, Okahao, those areas, there are young people that are just saying, Twala Roka Hakwet. So they are trying to respond to the growth that we had. And it's because we could penetrate and go to communities as early as possible. And we hope to see the result giving us a good banking on them, because we have been very consistent going. I mean, I visited Omusati for the last 5 years, probably more than 25 times. Going in, go to church, go to a braai, go to a farmers association, engaging people door to door here, door to door, not to the maximum benefit that we could have gained from it, but we are gaining something nevertheless from it.
So going into this election, Mr. Venaani, what is the pulling factor for PDM? Because there's always this belief, real or imagined, that in 2019, when you retained, when you actually did very, very well and got 16 seats, coming from a single-digit number in Parliament, it was due to the chaos that existed in SWAPO and this notion of anything but SWAPO and the Itula factor. Do you attribute the 2019 success to that? And what do you think is the pulling factor this time around?
I think the pulling factor in 2019 was the rebranding of the PDM. We rebranded 2017, 2018, 2019. So I think that was new. But Itula backed SWAPO. I mean, there are evidence that he was saying people should go and vote SWAPO. He didn't back. There was no agreement between myself and Dr. Itula on who to back. So people voted, and there were a choice of a number of parties, and they chose us. One thing that is a big pulling factor, and you would see in this election, is that the legislative record of PDM is unmatched. The maturity, the motions that we brought. If you put all the political parties on the table today, and you just make a summative assessment, which party performed and kept the legislature agenda going, PDM has a big pulling factor. And that is something that the young people are following us. I mean, when I come to rallies, people would scream, where is Winnie Mongo? Where is Ina Hengari? Where is Max Kashimu? They are parliamentarians, young parliamentarians that went there, and they really hone on the socio-economic issues that confront the young people. And I think that's a great pulling factor in this election, both in election, is that people believe that PDM is the only credible vehicle that can be able to challenge SWAPO. It has experience, it has maturity. And if you look at who we are not very sclerotic, going to the levels of just attacking our opponents, people doing this social media bashing of one another. We are a mature organization that attacks SWAPO on their corruption record, on their misgovernance, but we don't go attack people on their looks and on their body parts. This is not the kind of politics that we have. And because of that maturity, there is a large number of Namibians that says, we see a future government in these people, because these people are really organized, they are fighting for us, and they are fighting in a manner and fashion that does not go beneath the level of humanity. We have kept a lot of, sometimes people come to my office and says, Mr. President, we need to attack a fellow opposition party on this matter and on that. And I said, if you go personal, if you start attacking Trayvon Njabela on personality, what about the country? Where do we leave the country? And I think because we remain consistent in the work of the country, that we want a better country that works for everybody. And for that matter, we must portray ourselves as a future government and an alternative government. And if we want to be the alternative government in this country, our maturity must also come with a price towards that. Because if you look at a lot of parties now, people are just misinformation, attacking each other, calling each other names, attacking each other's wives. That's not the politics that I have pursued, and not you remember during the heydays of President Geingob. I mean, when other parties came in and were calling Geingob, you're an old man, you're this, you're that. I was saying, look, I know Hage Geingob, I know his weaknesses, I know his strength. I will attack him on policy issues and where he has remained sclerotic and not changing, but I will not go to his personality, attacking his good wife, attacking his family. That's not the politics that we're pursuing. And I think because of that, there is a fair amount of Namibians that sees through that says this is a party that we can do business with, because we associate ourselves with people that wants to take a country forward without really being petty. So that is also a draw. It draws for people to really support PD.
Yeah. Let's talk about the posture, President, the posture of PDM. You spoke about your legislative successes, and that is really on record. I think any honest person would know that you've tabled motions, you've challenged policies, and stuff like that in Parliament, which is a good thing. But there's also this moderate element to PDM. It looks, you come across as a party that is that lacks radicalism, and I think for me, radical interventions are important in under the current circumstances of our country. We need people who say who approach things with vigor and outside Parliament to the picketing lines and stuff like that. And I look at PDM as a DA of South Africa, which I mean the role that I see DA playing in South Africa, I thought PDM would be playing that, really taking motions to courts, taking things to court, challenging certain things, and perhaps winning some of those cases. Why don't you do that?
I think we are doing that. If you're talking about, we have lost a number of cases. We took the ACC boss, the way he was appointed, the two bosses of the ACC, we took them to court. We are having a case pending now, probably on the 4th of December, we'll have a verdict on the Russian oligarch. But all I tell you, the difference between the DA of South Africa and PDM is that the DA in South Africa it has a white agenda, white-driven agenda. PDM in Namibia there's no white-driven agenda. If there's one thing that I've ended in my political career, and my memoirs would be is I've ended Basca politics very long ago, early in my career, because I said if this party has to survive under our watch, everybody must be treated equal. So the element of DA picketing and taking cases to court is supported by their judicial system. Our judiciary is very slow. We are in court with this Russian oligarch for for 4 years. In South Africa, if you take a matter to the High Court or to the Constitutional Court, you'll have a verdict in a period of 4 months. So for DA is succeeding in this, because we have also made some overtures to them to see how they are fighting their cases, and I had a lot of meetings with Mmusi Maimane, because I was very close to Mmusi Maimane as opposed to Johan Steenhuisen. But we do now and then, we do chat as opposition leaders in the region when he was in the opposition, and we were trying to compare their picketing strategies with ours. Theirs is helped by an effective judicial system. Ours here, court, if I take you to court for something that you took my goat, it will take you 3 years before I get a verdict. So because of that, people get tired, and the cost of these court battles are very, very high, to a point that they are draining parties. We have spent close to 3 million just on this Russian oligarch, money that we need to finance campaigns and so forth. So if you had an effective judicial system that delivers judgments easily, we could have been at par with them. But because of the slowness, we have also taken battles that we say that, okay, this is a good battle to take to court, but how much would it cost us, and how long would it cost us? The longer we are in courts, the more expensive it is. But of course, we have kept our faith, and the radical politics is that, look, people that came to Parliament in 2019 wanted to copy Malema and tried, but there are some parties that try to copy Malema, and they try to be radical, calling people names. But after a few years, they realize it's not working. You must also read the society in which you are. Namibia is not South Africa. It's not the same radical society that you have. So in Namibia, civility rules. Even if you look at President Duma Boko and his politics for the last 10 years. In Botswana, Namibia, these are conservative society in general. So if you are pitching yourself in those societies, you must also be very strategic to be understood. Because the minute that you start insulting Toivo Njembela as an elder, I insult Menetumbo Ndaitwa and call her names, people in her village would just look at me and say, oh, is this guy not well-mannered? They will not look at the right of a politician to say that. They will look at you in terms of mannerism. So you need to balance both of it. So I have been telling younger politicians to say that focus on the job. Don't focus on trying to be over-radical on matters that you will not be able to achieve. If you say SWAPO is corrupt, I say it every day, that Menetumbo Ndaitwa might not be corrupt herself, but she's abetting corruption by allowing even people that are accused of fish rot addressing SWAPO rallies. So why is she not coming clean on that? But I cannot go there and say, because I believe she is probably having a particular way that she smiles or something, and I would call her names. She's an elder. I must respect her as an elder. And even if I am a competitor to her, that respectability. Same with Dr. Itula, same with a younger peer like Jopa Mpanda, I cannot go and just say, you are a young boy. I cannot call him, I will call him Professor Mpanda because this is who he is, and he's someone who has also a place to play in the role, and that's the politics that we will be remembered for.
Absolutely. We go for a very short break and then return with McHenry Venaani.
As the holiday season draws near, ShopRite and Synergy Chatbot are bringing the Christmas spirit to you. Watch out for Santa's wishlist and buy your favorite newspaper on Monday the 18th of November to send your wish list to Santa.
Our conversation with McHenry Venaani continues on the evening review. Now, President, just engage me briefly on this issue of the Russian farm that you alluded to earlier, because I don't understand what the contention is in this matter. Because as far as I remember, this land, so this Komsa Properties, Russian-owned company, wanted to buy 4 farms in Commerce. Government rejected that proposition. Then this company came back and with a revised proposal, which says that they will buy this land from private. It was not state land, by the way. It was privately owned. And they bought it from these private owners, donated it to government, maybe in theory, and on condition that government leases the land back to them. And as I understand it, they will then develop the land to put up facilities, infrastructure. And after 99 years, that land with whatever is on it by that time belongs to the state. What is wrong with that deal?
What is wrong with the deal is that the minute that you donate something to me, or if I buy a car and I donate it to you, I lose all the rights to decide whether I donate this car that it takes my children to school to you. So what we are saying is that the donation was made to government. There is no law in our country that allows a 99 resettlement to a foreign or rich oil oligarch. The reason why there was a rejection, the very first deal, was because the land wanted to go to hands, private-owned lands that are foreigners. And you're talking about large tracts of land. The whole resettlement policy in this country has failed. You have 5,400 families for the last 35 years that have been resettled on government land. You have 5 farms and you are giving this land to a rich oil oligarch. So it means that all oligarchs around the world can come to Namibia. They buy the farms, they donate it to government, then they tell the government, we buy the whole of Namibia and you just lease the country to us. And to us, that's a fundamental problem. We are saying government should have exercised the right to say, okay, this is our farms. What are the needy beneficiaries that needs the land? Was the development the needed beneficiary, or is it the people that have lost land? And we are saying the people that have lost land, farmers, farm workers that were there, were supposed to be considered in one way or the other. So to us, it's not about a question of development. It's not that this guy just came and he brought in money as foreign direct investment and started developing the land. We are talking about state land being leased out to multimillionaires of the world. In fact, we are going further than saying that we already have close to 250 farms in the country that are owned by absentee landlords. And we are just continuing with the process of allowing the rich to own the land while the people do not have a land. We are saying the Minister of Lands should have exercised discretion because it's government land. He should have put it out there in a bidding process and say, okay, Toivo Jembela, McHenry Venaani, the people of Dorlapis, there is this land. What are your proposals? How did you know that the rich oil oligarch's proposal was the best if Toivo Jembela was never given an opportunity to give his bid on the land? So we are saying there was a corrupt deal. It's a corrupt deal where we would allow our country to go. It's the same argument that has been propelled by a number of ministers when I say that we must renegotiate our oil deals. The first thing that the ministers are telling you is that these people have invested a lot of money. We must be happy with what we are getting. But we have a country in the South Pacific, in the name of Papua New Guinea, that has renegotiated their oil deal from 7% to 14%. A small, tiny country, but they could go back to the table and renegotiate their deal. But today, the ministers are the ones protecting. When we are saying, let's renegotiate our oil resources, the Namibian ministers are the first one to defend those that are investing in this country. The Namibian ministers and the Namibian leadership are the first ones to go to be invited to Qatar. How someone finds oil in your country, he invites you to his country to come and tell you that, you know what I found in your country? I found oil. In trade relations, you are negotiating from a weak position. The Qataris should have come to Namibia and said, we have found oil now, what do you want us to do going further? These people are having the audacity to invite us to their country while they found something. That's where we had this argument. And this is why I take issue with Honorable Netumbo Ndaitwah. When I was attacking President Geingob on the question when he said that the oil doesn't belong to us, all of them were quiet. Now that President Geingob, with may he so rest in peace, have passed on, Netumbo Ndaitwah says, no, the oil belongs to Namibia. Why didn't he stand up and say, in fact, I agree with Venaani that the oil belongs to us? So we must be consistent. Our country should not be for sale, and we must be consistent in protecting the ethos and values of our country, of patriotism, and making sure that the well-being of the country and the welfare of the country is for the people. We can't just belong to the highest bidder. And that land, the Russian land question, is belonging to the highest bidder. The oil deals where we are saying we cannot renegotiate because these people have invested millions of dollars while other countries are renegotiating that deal, it means that the country belongs to the highest bidder. The country must come and belong to its people, to the young people, to those that are downtrodden, and we must do everything possible in leadership to make sure that those that are downtrodden and the general populace of the country can be able to benefit from these natural resources of our country.
Yeah. In not so many words, President Venaani, what is your party offering Namibian voters if elected to power this year? I know that you've your manifesto out there, but in a nutshell, what is it that separates you from others?
I think what separates us from other parties is that we want to bring an agricultural mechanization and revolution in the country. Spend 10% of our national GDP on agriculture, expand value chains, create jobs, and create food security in the country. That's one. By supporting agriculture, support desalination. The problem is that the country has no water. We need to bring water from the sea, desalinate. And if you expand agriculture and make sure that agriculture gets stronger value chains, you are going to have job absorption. Value addition of our raw minerals. The Scorpion zinc produces zinc. We are buying our zinc plates from South Africa to come and build our Kambashus. Why not start a whole processing plant and say, we mine here, we process here, we end the process, South Africa start buying our zinc plates as opposed. So those are the things that sets us apart from the rest. We are saying we have a clear plan to create the necessary jobs that the country needs and to create dependability on the country's own resources by investing in areas that are needed most to take the country forward.
Yeah. One of the your long-running issues with our elections for many years is this notion by you that there are Angolan people voting and participating in Namibian elections. Is that still your view, and what is your stake?
Well, I think the biggest bane and the biggest challenge in this election is to protect the vote. We are seeing a trend, a wave of people want change, but of course I put it to the country that there is a fair amount of belief that we hold very dear, that there are a number of Angolan voters in Mongwa, in various parts of Angola that will come and vote in our elections. So, and this is not only a Namibian Angolan question. It's the same with the Mozambican election, where you have 250,000 Zimbabweans that have voted already in the Mozambican elections. It's a serious problem. And if you look at the troves of people that comes from Angola at ethnic rallies, especially of the ruling parties, at borders, people coming in, going out, there is an organized process for Angolan voters to vote. And for a very long time, I have been saying that, and I'm going to say it again. It's very difficult to monitor the situation, but we are very alive to the fact that there are Angolan voters voting in our elections, and they are shoring up the numbers of one party. One party is benefiting from it.
Yeah. There's someone from Kalongo myself, which borders Angola. I know that the dynamics there are a bit different because we have people who live in Angola and they have Namibian identity documents. I don't know whether they consider themselves Angolans or Namibians. They come and fetch water from Namibia and cross back into Angola. Maybe that is a humanitarian thing, it's okay. But they come and get old age pension each end of the month. They cross into Namibia, get their old age pension, whatever, and go back in their country. Elections come, maybe you have the same people coming here thinking they have Namibian IDs and maybe they are registered as voters and they come and vote. Is that also problematic, or do you think that those that are voting here do not even have? Is it a question of geography or
well, it's a question of nationality.
Yeah.
There are Angolan nationals that possesses Namibian voting documents. They might not even have IDs, but they possess voters card, and that is bad. And I don't talk about a cousin of yours that lives 20 kilometers into Angola. I'm talking about people that are coming 300 kilometers into Angola, brought in for the purpose of voting here. And the Angolan print media has also written that they also found Namibians registering, Angolans registering in the Namibian elections in Angola. I mean, these are things that are there. So I think there's no way to justify it. Even if you have a cousin in Angola, if your cousin by nationality is Angolan, he cannot play part in Namibian elections. And I've taken this matter so high up to a point where I even spoken to some Angolan ministers that are good acquaintances of me, and I told them that, hey guys, stop this thing. Why are you doing this thing? Why don't you? And a minister just saying, so why don't you do the same? So these people are confirming that these things are happening. Of course, I can't do the same.
Yeah.
It's wrong. So it's bad for the country. And if we start justifying that Angolans should vote in our elections, then our national sovereignty is questioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My director says that we only have 1 minute left. The final question to you, Honorable Venaani, is what are your prospects in this election? Because there's this notion again out there, especially on social media, and it cannot just be disregarded because it's social media, is that people like yourself, Job Panda, and others, Bernardo Swartboy, who are vying for president, are actually just wasting their time, and that the contest somehow is just between Etumana and Daitwa and Dr. Itula, and that you must stick to parliament only and abandon that race completely. What is your take briefly on that?
Well, I think people should realize what will happen in this election. This election will not produce a clear winner. It will border down. If I look at what I am sensing in the country, people are adopting a smart voting strategy. I mean, a lot of people, even that are in the ruling party, would say, no, look, I know I might want Netumbo as president, but I know at Parliament PDM is doing much better than. So smart voting would create an equilibrium of no winner. And after a no winner, you would need all parties to come to the table and start negotiating. So this notion of saying, because one person is winning or is ahead of you, therefore you should not be there. I mean, SWAPO has been defeating me for how many years? Have I stopped fighting SWAPO? You never stop. President Duma Boko in Botswana has been defeated how many times? It's the third time that he's winning, but he has been defeated twice. And the numbers were not working for him. He was told he's a Xhosa, he will never, he has a relation with Xhosas, he will never become, he doesn't come from an ethnic group in the Botswanas that will make him president. Today he's president. The same with Hakainde Hichilema. So perseverance makes president. I mean, these are friends of mine that were told the same, Venaani will never become president because of your tribe, because of this, that, the other. People become president because society changes. We are in the running to be able to bring a better Namibia to this country. Whether you are ahead of me or you are behind me, it's your democratic right. But to those that are saying, why can't the opposition, and I think that this is probably the fundamental question that I must answer, why doesn't the opposition work together towards defeating the ruling party? I mean, I went at great length at talking to leaders. I said, guys, let's talk and have one presidential candidate and have a joint cabinet and so forth. And people, I was told by leaders, those that need people now, they were saying, no, disband your parties and come and join our parties. So maturely you do things, but you must prepare. You can't want me to backtrack today. If I have spoken to you 2 years ago and said, this is where the country is going, let's move into this direction. We have never been selfish. My politics has never been selfish. The PDM's politics has never been selfish. But of course, we are a party that doesn't capitulate. We don't capitulate. Come hell or come high water, we are in the game. We are in it to win it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venaani, for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That is McHenry Venaani. He is president of the Popular Democratic Movement, PDM, which contests, together with him, of course, as presidential candidate in next week's presidential and National Assembly election. Thank you for watching.